Welcome back to another episode of Bowmar Bow Hunting. On today's episode, we are flying across the world and hunting in Uganda. Now, I know some of you have seen parts of Uganda are extremely dangerous with the guerrilla warfare and crime, so we decided to hire a Navy SEAL to be a part of our protective detail and keep guard at camp. Between myself, Donnie, our guides, and the game scouts who are armed with AKs, my family was going to be just fine anywhere in Uganda. But honestly, this area where we were hunting is very safe. But since I brought my whole family, including my 2 little kids, we took extra precaution for maximum safety and security. Now, once we landed in Uganda, there was a very long drive to get into camp, which went through a few towns that I didn't feel were the safest option for us and my whole family. So instead of driving, we hired 2 private helicopters to fly us straight into camp. Yes, this was the fastest and safest option for us, but we got to view the vast beauty of Uganda from the air, and honestly, that alone made the flight worth it. Now, Uganda is by far the most target-rich land I have ever seen. I mean, there are literally animals everywhere. When you see this, your first instinct is to think it's high-fenced. But that is just not the case. Where we are hunting is 100% wild and free-ranging with no fences. The reason this place is so incredible is due to the conservation efforts and the relationship the outfitter has with the government, but most importantly, the locals. So we donate all the meat to the locals that we don't eat ourselves, and this creates a symbiotic relationship that allows for the animals to thrive. You see, we are hunting 100% active farms where locals raise cows and other livestock for market and for food. So if there's a whole bunch of animals out grazing their pastures, then it becomes a problem. But because we can hunt these animals, that helps keep this population in check. This also helps keep the locals fed, and there's even financial kickback if we shoot the animal on their property. This model puts value on the animal, and that value brings protection. This symbiotic relationship has been proven to be the best model for maximum longevity of the animals and brings balance to the areas where both humans and wildlife coexist. Now, with that said, the farmers do work their land every single day right alongside all the native wildlife. So this constant human interaction with the animals creates a bow hunting paradise due to the animals not being harassed by people every single time they see them. So many times when we're spotting and stalking animals, we actually try to hide in plain sight, pretending we're not interested in the animals at all. We're just tending cattle, which actually allows us to get closer than if we were just to try to sneak up on them. Being a Midwest guy where if a deer smells my boot print, he'll run for the hills, let alone if he sees me, this was very weird for me. But many, if not all, the oldest animals, which again usually are the biggest, didn't live amongst the farmers. They went back and forth on the neighboring Lake and Burro National Park, which didn't allow hunting and had very little interaction with humans. This, of course, means the biggest animals were always the hardest to get closest to. Now, this outfitter had a genius plan to help pull in more wildlife into his concession. This strategy was basically what I do to draw in more deer into my farms here in Iowa. And that is planting food plots. Well, kind of. You see, he can't plant food plots, but what he did was basically the same thing. Every year he burns all of his tall grasses, which creates barren, wide open ground. But after it rains, all this new, fresh, supple grass starts growing, and the animals absolutely go crazy over it. Now, this strategy is very effective at drawing animals in from the national park and other properties that don't do controlled burns. The problem was he does all of his burning early in July, so the people that get to come and hunt in late July and August usually get first crack at the biggest and oldest animals. But unfortunately, we couldn't come during that time. We had to come in September, so we normally would not get to take advantage of all the fresh growth. However, this year it was exceptionally dry, and it didn't rain at all during the entire months of July and August. And as fate, luck, or whatever you want to call it would happen, on the day we flew in, the heavens opened up and it rained like you wouldn't believe.
We gotta get out of this rain quick.
Now, this was the first rain they had in months, so you couldn't ask for a better case scenario for the timing of our hunt. Every time we settle into camp, I always make it a point to go through the list of animals we'll be pursuing, and of course I always ask about the archery world records for each species. This isn't to set some personal goal about breaking records, it's just a simple gesture of respect for the animals that we hunt. It's kind of important to know if you break a world record, because I would like to express the significance and magnitude of that animal by acknowledging the achievement of the world record if I harvest one. But regardless of its record book status, we always ensure each animal we harvest is treated with the reverence and honor it rightfully deserves. So when we were going over it, we got to the Patterson Eland and we stopped in shock. The world record was absolutely massive, scoring a whopping 95 inches. Yes, the size was impressive, but the craziest part about this record is it was set back in 1975, and that record has never been broken since. So let's do the math. That's almost 50 years that world record has been held, and there's a reason for that. You see, he shot that eland in Sudan, which is like the Iowa for deer when it comes to mini plains game, including eland. But on January 1st, 1989, Sudan banned all hunting. So one of the best places in the world that grows some of the largest horned elands, now no one can hunt. So no wonder that record has been held for 50 years. But where we're hunting in Uganda is right next to Lake Memburo National Park. This area has grown some absolute mammoth eland. And in fact, our guide has seen an absolute monster eland a few times on safari. But he only comes into the concession after a rain for the fresh grass. And with our timing of showing up in camp on the first day it's rained in months, I had a silver lining of hope that we may run into this old monster the guide was talking about. And at the end of the day, you never know what you might run into in the wilds of Africa. So we set out hunting many different species, and we were having an absolute incredible adventure, harvesting many amazing animals, and of course, sharing all the meat with the locals. But we weren't seeing many eland. Then finally we spotted a big group, and we had hope that that monster the guide had seen could be a part of this group. So we put on a stalk to get a little bit closer and check him out. Unfortunately, he wasn't there, but the grass had just started sprouting, so we felt in a couple days the hunting would get a lot better. Now, we were out hunting impala when I got a satellite text from Sarah, and she said, "We think we just saw the monster eland you've been looking for." This put a huge smile on my face. I couldn't believe it. There was just one problem. We were a solid 2-hour drive from where they saw him. But we had to go. This eland was so big and so rarely seen. We had to drop everything and make the best possible effort to try to get him. Now, Sarah continued on hunting, so we hoped we could find him once we got in the general area where they saw him last. Once we got there, we spotted a big herd of eland right away. And after glassing for only a moment, we couldn't believe our eyes. He was there. The absolute monster the guide had seen in the past was right in front of us. But unfortunately, where this herd was in the wide open, and there were so many eyeballs, it was going to be impossible to get close to him. So the only strategy we could do was hide in plain sight. So we walked in the wide open, acting like we were farmers working cattle. Now, we couldn't walk directly at them. We had to walk kind of alongside of them in hopes to get close enough for a shot. And I couldn't believe it, our plan was working. But we were really struggling to get inside 100 yards. So this was going to be a long shot. But I had faith in myself, faith in my setup, and of course, faith in the BEAST broadheads. So I wasn't going to let this opportunity pass. I was ready to take my shot.
Smoke City, baby. A dream came true for this old Iowa bow hunter.
I was beyond proud of my shot. The BEAST broadhead buried deep, causing catastrophic damage. This, of course, expired my Corey quickly.
Big, wild, free-ranging eland down. Using the BEAST Broadhead, and it penetrated all the way up to the fletchings on an absolute monster animal. There's no wind. I don't like shooting that far if I don't have to, but with it being so calm and such a big animal, I held right behind the shoulder, right in the mid-body. He was like the Ronnie Coleman's of eland. Every step looked laborsome. He was like, I mean, you could just see him next to all the other eland. It was so incredible. So that's a Patterson's eland. You know, that's a different species that you get in like South Africa and everything else. So there's not a whole lot of those that's been shot with a bow and arrow.
Following that blood trail was the most impressive blood trail I've ever seen. Such a great testament to the BEAST Broadhead.
Oh my gosh, look at this. A freaking Patterson Eland. Oh my gosh, look at the size of this freaking beast. Oh my god. Oh, Bowhunter dream just came true. Oh my gosh. Freddie, look at this thing.
Mr. Bowmar, this is an absolutely beautiful eland. And oh man,
Wow.
look at this thing.
Oh my god. Oh, oh my gosh. Look. Oh, oh my god. Oh my gosh.
Not only was this the biggest body eland both myself and the guide had ever seen, when we measured him later in camp, he scored an unbelievable 101 5/8 inches, making him the pending world record Patterson Eland with a bow. He was truly an amazing animal, and what an honor to have the opportunity to hunt him, let alone being able to harvest him.
Oh, well, we got him propped up, and I just wanted to show you guys how beautiful this eland really is. Just an ancient old bull. I mean, everything you could hope for in a hunt. You know, it's pretty obvious. His body was massive. It was bigger than everybody else's. The ridges was so deep. I mean, just gorgeous. He was the one. And we get one tag here in Uganda. Boy, I couldn't be more grateful than punching it on such a big, beautiful animal. You know, I know a lot of you may not agree with me shooting at 96 yards, but I can promise you, I trained my whole life for that moment to make it count, and I did. So I'm very grateful.
Truly, what an amazing animal, and what an honor to have the opportunity to hunt him. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode of Hunting in Africa. If you did, make sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video. It's the best way to say thank you to Sarah and I, and you know we always appreciate it.